All right, good morning, everyone. My name is J.T. Manoushagian. I'm the Chief of Police for the Lake Worth Police Department, and we're here today to give you an update on the officer-involved shooting that occurred on September the 4th. So, the Fort Worth Police Department Major Crimes Unit remains the lead investigating agency on this case. We know a few more things today than we did the last time that we provided you an update. One of those things is that the car that was being pursued was stolen. It was not reported stolen until early in the morning following the officer-involved shooting. So the officers did not know that at the time, but looking back, that's something that we know. We also know that the weapon that the suspect was carrying has been linked to a shooting that occurred in Lancaster earlier this year. Using the National Integrated Ballistics Information Network, or NIBIN, the gun was linked to an aggravated assault. NIBIN, if you're not familiar, is a national database of digital images of spent bullets and cartridge cases that were found at crime scenes or test fired from confiscated weapons, and the ATF administers that program. So using that system, we were able to link the weapon to that shooting. Now, that doesn't mean that the suspect necessarily is tied to that shooting, but it does indicate that the weapon was there and used. At this time, we know that there were 4 people in the car. I believe our initial report to you was that there were only 3, but as we've gone back and looked at those videos, we've been able to determine that there were 4 people in the vehicle. And I can also confirm that no arrests have been made yet. Regarding information or action that the Lake Worth Police Department has taken a week after the incident, so 1 week following that Friday, we met with a representative from the family and allowed them to view the video and multiple angles of the video, just in an effort to be transparent. We also spent a considerable amount of time answering questions and sharing what we knew about what happened with the family's representative. Then we took a break to allow the family to grieve and to lay their loved one to rest. And this past Monday, just a few days ago, we met with a larger group of the family. And in that group, it included Mr. Ramirez's mother, aunt, uncle, sister, etc. And those who chose to watch the video were allowed to do so again in the same manner as the first. And we are committed to continuing our dialogue with the family moving forward. They have been incredibly gracious and kind to us. We acknowledge that this is a difficult thing to do. It's difficult to come to the table and have those discussions, but we're thankful and appreciative that they've done that with us. The officer who fired his weapon remains on administrative leave. The other officer that was involved, along with the dispatcher, have been returned to full duty. And at this time, through our meetings with the family, they've asked me to read a statement on their behalf, and so I'm going to do that now. More answers about what happened on the morning of September the 4th. Specifically, we want the other people who were there in the car to come forward, because if it was their family member who passed away, they would want answers just like we do. For the parents of those who were in the car, how do you sleep at night knowing that they are on the run? Knowing that they had something to do with the death of someone else. It's not right. If it were your son who had gotten away, and your son, if it were our son who had gotten away and your son who had passed, we would give you answers because we know you would want closure just like us. To those who ran away, how do you leave your friend behind? You weren't real friends. That was all an act. And to the one who ran and actually had the audacity to come to our home afterwards and sit in Estevan's room and act like nothing happened, acted like you knew nothing, You knew he wasn't coming home that morning, and you couldn't even tell his family. It's wrong, cowardly, and disrespectful. Eventually, you will all be found and brought to justice. Come forward now and turn yourselves in. And again, that's on behalf of the Ramirez. So the investigation, hurt by what happened. The unexpected loss of a loved one is always difficult, but they also realize that there are a lot of factors that contributed to that outcome. The families also asked for privacy. They've asked that no pictures or videos of the incident be made publicly available, and we intend to honor their request and keep those images and videos private. So the next thing I'd like to do is just outline the timeline moving forward, what the community, what the family can expect in terms of a resolution or findings. The Major Crimes Unit at Fort Worth PD anticipates completing the investigation and turning it over to the Tarrant County Grand Jury in early December. At that time, the law enforcement incident team at the DA's office will take the case and prepare it for presentation to the grand jury. At this time, we don't have any idea when that presentation would take place. We're, just assuming early next year at some point. And once the grand jury is presented with the case, the jurors will decide whether or not there's evidence of any criminal wrongdoing moving forward. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
You identified some of the other suspects who ran from the car?
We have, yes.
So you know who they are, you just don't know where they are?
Correct. And at Fort Worth PD's request, we're not releasing the names of those individuals just yet.
One of them went to the family's home after the incident?
Yes.
That's what the statement sounded like?
Yes, that's what, according to the family, one person in the car came back to the house, their house, spent approximately 3 hours in the home, and during that time said nothing to the family about what happened. And, as you can hear in their statement, they feel very disrespected by that.
You mentioned the car was stolen.
Yes, sir.
Can you, more detail, where was it stolen, who reported it stolen, who it belongs to?
All we know right now is that it's a Volkswagen Jetta. It was reported stolen to the city of Fort Worth early that morning after this incident had occurred. Exactly where it was stolen and who the owner is not information I have with me right now.
But is it connected to any of the suspects?
Possibly. We're still trying to look into that and figure out if there's a connection.
And if you do find a connection, will there be an arrest?
I
guess by Fort Worth, not by you guys.
Sure. My hope is that there are several arrests, that everyone involved, if they've been found to have broken the law, our hope is that they are arrested and held accountable for their role in this.
Is there a count on how many shots were fired by the officer?
At this time, we believe there were 6 total shots fired. And only one of the officers fired, one of the 2.
For how long is the officer going to be on administrative leave?
Until the facts are presented to the grand jury, the officer will remain on administrative leave or in an administrative duty status, so not in uniform and on the street.
Is your view of what happened in weeks? Knowing more information, or is it still the same as it was initially after the incident?
It's exactly the same. I believe that Fort Worth PD is going to do a comprehensive, thorough investigation, and once all of those facts are presented, it will be consistent with the video evidence, and we'll know exactly what happened. Anything else?
Yeah, was anyone wounded in the Lancaster aggravated assault?
That I don't know. That's information that's relatively new to me. I'm confident that the investigators know the answer to that question. Unfortunately, I just don't have that answer.
So have you been talking to the Lancaster Police Department? You haven't reached out to them?
No, sir. So the Lake Worth Police Department is not involved in the criminal investigation at all. So we do try to regularly meet or communicate with the Major Crimes Unit at Fort Worth PD to get periodic updates, but we are not into confident that they have reached out or will. That would be an overstep on our part to step in and do that. So we're just going to remain in our role looking at an administrative review of the incident, and we'll let them handle that. Anything else? Good. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Can you spell your first and last name?
Sure.
Yeah.